And we are back. All right, another Pokemon Infinite Fusion run here. We're going to do a randomizer, so all of our encounters are going to be random. On top of that, we can only use double fusions or self fusion. So our starter or our Route 1 encounter is going to be the Girafarig. We got the dual side here. We got the dark. We got the light. Normal psychic typing remains. We're going to lock in the inner focus ability, and let's see where this run takes us. And this is hardcore as usual, so no overleveling, no using items in battle. Held items are okay, but our second encounter is going to be the Pinsir on Route 2 here. It's going to combine for the Mega Pinsir that we all know and love, and now we have a team of 2. For our Viridian Forest first encounter, it's going to be the Slugma. So we catch another Slugma, we fuse them together, and we end up with a Slugma. Funny enough, that same Slugma that I was just laughing about absolutely won me an armies, our rival, in that first fight to the left there of Viridian City. Luxpip comes down, is going to be his starter fusion. A Hoppip coming in with a Luxray, but it's asleep on the job, and another Ember is going to put it down, and we are on our way to Brock. But before we get to Brock, our secret garden first encounter is none other than Aegislash. You put them together and you get one of the most filthy fusions I have ever seen. I can't believe it. For our Route 3 first encounter, it's going to be 2 Swinubs coming together here, and it's going to combine for the Ice Ground double Swinub combination. Unbelievable. And that means it's time to take on Brock and his 2 Steel-type Pokemon. That's right. These randomizers are going to give each gym their own typing, so both Pokemon are going to have at least one type, that of Steel. And this one is the Polytris, the Fortress, and the Politoed. We walk in here with our Aegislash and Slugma, respectively. We get a Swords Dance off as it's sleeping on the job. Make it 2 Swords Dances coming down here. We're going to pop off with the Sacred Sword that comes across the board. Almost one-shots, but the Sturdy holds on. A Bug Bite comes in, takes down our Berry from the previous turn, but 3 Swords Dances. I do not care. Aerial Ace comes in. It's a fadeaway. Not very effective because of that steel typing, but we take down Brock's first Pokemon. We shrug off the Harden here. We don't need it. We don't want it. And now Aegislash just has to take down Brock's final Pokemon in the Houndoom or Houndoom, the Geodude and Honedge. Very cool. We pop in with the King's Shield to try to buff it the first attack, but we completely flop as the Sacred Sword comes down, but the Sturdy holds and the Magnitude comes in. It is super effective, but we hold out with 22 HP in a dream. We get the King's Shield in as we are afraid the Magnitude shrugs off from the shield, but we drop back as the rollout comes in as a little bit of chip, but we fade with the Sacred Sword. Brock is defeated. And then for our Mount Moon first encounter, it is the Shinx, and 2 Shinxes together make, you guessed it, another Shinx. For our Route 4 first encounter, it's going to be a Zekrom, so we get 2 Zekroms, put them together, and we get one of the most amazing fusions in a double Zekrom. Unbelievable. For my rival's sake here, Zekrom just comes in and absolutely bodies all 4 of his Pokemon. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Let's just get on to the next portion of the run. And then for our Route 24 first encounter, it's going to be the Firestarter Torchic. 2 Torchics come together and turn into a very spunky little bird. And before you know it, we're already on the footsteps of the second gym here. Misty comes down with her Genrus. I believe she's specializing in the Ghost-type Pokemon. We flex with an Ancient Power. We get the Omni Boost. As the Withdraw comes down, the Umbrus is here. So it's actually going to be an Ice-type gym, and both are Lapras fusions. Incredible stuff here. We drop back with a Thunderfang. It's not very effective, or it's not super effective, I should say. That is because Rock is super effective against Ice. Who would have thought? A Thunderbolt upgrade at level 22 is immaculate as well. Even though Zekrom prefers physical damage, he's going to drop back with the special Thunderbolt and end Misty's career. And then for our Route 5 first encounter, it's going to be the Xatu here. Psychic Flying Bird comes down. It combines with itself to turn into this amalgamation. Another Xatu. That looks pretty sick. And then for our Route 6 first encounter, it's going to be 2 little Drifloons coming together here to make a bigger balloon, I would surmise. And there it is, the multicolored balloons. I love it. And then for our Vermilion City first encounter, it's going to be 2 Porygon 2s here coming together to form into the teddy bear. Is that not the teddy bear from Bleach? That is ridiculous. Porygon 2 comes down. Our rival gives us a little bit of trouble on SSM, but we end up just swapping into our Zekrom as you do. He comes down, takes the Bullet Seed up close and personal, and then just completely fades away on his starter, the Luxloom here. The Dragon Rage comes down, takes down our rival, and now we've punched our ticket to the 3rd gym battle. All right, Brock had Steel types, Misty had Ice types, and now Surge has Fairy type Pokemon. The Clefairy comes down, drops back with a Magic Leaf, but Xatu tanks that, no problem. We get a Tailwind to get things underway. The Air Slash comes in, doing massive damage as another Magical Leaf comes across the board. No problem as we fade with another Air Slash. 2 Pokemon left from Surge's side of things. The Togolith is here. The Togetic, Growlithe, potentially. The Fire Fang comes in, does decent damage as we heal up with the Oran Berry for safety. We can drop back with another Tailwind to get that speed for our team. Another Fire Fang comes in, leaves us with a burn, and the Synchronize doesn't affect because the Fire typing is on the other side of the board. We swap into Zekrom, who is weak to Fairy, but potentially Togolith does not have a Fairy type move at this stage in the game. Level 26 does mean it's the ace, as the Berry does pop for some healing. The Fire Fang is not very effective, thankfully. No burn, another Thunderbolt across the board. The Tailwind comes down with the Super Potion. Will it be enough to stall out for Surge? But we fade with the Thunderbolt, leaving Surge with a tiny Pokemon in the back. It is the Charfa that looks like a Charmeleon, and Cleffa as we fade with a 2-tap Thunderbolt, 3 gym badges, and a dream. For our Route 10 first encounter, it's going to be 2 Feebas coming together here to make a Feebas. And then for our Rock Tunnel first encounter, it's going to be 2 tiny little Bonsleys coming together here to grow into a bigger tree, potentially. And there it is. I like that a lot. And that means our final evolution here in the line is going to be a Sudowoodo, and he is here to stay. For our Route 8 first encounter, it's going to be none other than the Ghost Fairy Mimikyu. I am so hyped for this, and there it is, the gigantic, huggable Pikachu, or is it a Mimikyu? Unbelievable. We then get to see what happens when a Phoebus and a Milotic come together to form a fusion, and there it is. That is not a pretty fish. On the contrary, when you put 2 Milotics together, you end up with this beast of a fish, this beautiful Sea Leviathan coming at you live. We then hop into the Pokemon Tower to take down our rival one more time, Xatu with the fade. That's going to be 3-0 against our rival so far. We then get to see what happens when a Luxray and Luxray come together to form the ultimate fusion. He looks like an absolute stud muffin. For the final fusion in this line, it's going to be 2 Macargos coming in, and there it is, just a pool of lava. Oh my goodness. But what about 2 Blimps here? 2 Drifblimps coming in for 1 fusion, and there it is. Unbelievable. Ghost flying, baby. After some very strange fusions with the Combuskin, we get the Blaziken fusion, and that looks awfully familiar. We then run into Team Boss Giovanni for the first time, and Aegislash with Zekrom makes swift work of his team of 3. We're on to Erica. Speaking of which, Erica ends up with 3 Poison-type Pokemon for this run. We come in with a Calm Mind on our Xatu, absolutely flexing. 2 Calm Minds come down, but it is answered with a Sleep Powder from Erica's side of things. We are confused as well as the Worry Seed comes in and is going to make it so we can't fall asleep again. We drop back with an Air Slash, but we're actually going to pivot to a Dazzling Gleam as we wake up. I'm just kidding. The Air Slash comes in and takes down Erica's first Pokemon. Now we can drop back with a Stab Psychic, +2 from the Calm Mind, and that amalgamation is gone. The final Pokemon is the Duslia, the Dustops, and Rosalia as the fight is over before it began. That brings us to our 5th gym battle in the run against Koga and his Rock-type fusions. We drop back with Milotic's Rain Dance here to double that surf damage coming in. It's super effective, and Pickle goes down, the Pichu and Shuckle combo. Cobbleplex is here. What is that going to be? Rock Water? No, it's super effective, so forget that. It's off the screen, and now we have a Septardos here, a Sceptile and Rampardos. I love the color scheme here, but it's probably going to be Grass Rock, so it does take neutral damage. The Ancient Power is Stab, but it's not super effective, so we tank that up close, and then we drop back with another surf into the rain. The agility is for naught as the ace falls here. 1 more Pokemon in the back kitchen. It's going to be a Magneron. It's going to be a little Steel Rock Aggron combining with a Magnemite, but the Quick Claw Pop is all we need for the fadeaway crit. Koga's gone. Yeah, Jimmy, no, for 3 o'clock, we're going to have a meeting where we're going to get all the boys together and we're talking about how cool Pokemon is and maybe get a little bit of a discourse on Pokemon Infinite Fusion versus other ROM hacks. But we can hash that out later. I'm in the middle of a recording. No, I get that. Thank you, Jimmy. All right, we are back here. Substitute comes down on my Logan. Substitute gets absolutely sniped with a Shadow Ball. What is happening? Jimmy, get back in here. What is going on? The first casualty of the run is gone as my Milotic is hiding behind the Substitute. Luxray comes in with the Intimidate, but that is a Celebi Entei across the board here as the Bulbasaur Ghostly comes in. Spark doesn't do enough damage, and Shadow Ball takes down Luxray. We lose 2 Pokemon in the blink of an eye. We went from donuts and coffee with everybody we held dear, and we lose 2 Pokemon. Zekrom comes in for support. Milotic punished for all of the substitute shenanigans. The Celetai holding on. The Ancient Power comes in, but doesn't do anything. We fade away. 1 more Pokemon. The Yasuo is here. The Team Rocket Grunt absolutely flexing, doing more damage than Giovanni has done ever in his life. We drop back with the Surf. We take damage as well. The Fly comes in and drops the Mummy. Oh my gosh, 2 casualties from 1 Team Rocket Grunt. For our Route 18 first encounter, it's going to be 2 Agrons here coming together to form the Mega Agron. For our Safari Zone first encounter, it's going to be the Mr. Mime. What's going to happen when they come together for a fusion here? It's going to turn into a big old clown. It is now time to take on our rival at the top of Silphco. Here he's got a little ghost and electric fish in Duchu coming in, taking on our Mr. Mime as we take that Shadow Ball up close, and that did a ton of damage. We're going to be a little bit under level because we're trying to respect the level cap for the gym as the Shadow Ball comes down, but our special defense on Milotic side of things is massive. We tank the Hexa as well, a little bit of recover for Reprieve. Another Shadow Ball comes down. A special defense drop would be monumental for our rival, so we drop back with a Surf. It is Stab, and in the rain, the Reflect wears off from our Mr. Mime. Another recover for the Diet. The Aqua Ring comes down. Duchu is digging in the trenches for this fight. Another Quick Claw pop, though, and Milotic is, for lack of better terms, popping off as the Hydreigon comes down. That is a Hydreigon Sylveon, probably Fairy Dark, maybe a little bit of Fairy Dragon, but the Surf is going to be neutral, so it's not Dragon. It is a Dark Fairy. Very cool typing as we get a fadeaway crit on that beautiful, magnificent beast as the Blaze Jam comes down. A Blaziken Hitmonchan as the Surf comes in super effective. The Slash is a critical hit. We take the Sky Uppercut as we lose the speed battle, or the Quick Claw doesn't pop in. Milotic holds with a Baker's dozen worth of HP. We drop the Hydro Pump for now as things are heating up. The Luxling comes down. It is a joke of a starter as our rival did a terrible job using these 2 Pokemon. The Crunch comes in, pops our disguise. Our Mimikyu's disguise is pop. We got to keep that in mind as the Crunch comes down. We roll the Shadow Claw. The U-turn is here. It pops to 55 HP. The Regidon is here. What is that little guy? A Shelgon? And not a Shelgon, but the Dazzling Gleam does do damage in this. I can't figure out what Pokemon is. We lose my pride and joy in the Mimikyu fusion. You've got to be kidding. Oh my god, why are we staying in anyway? We had so many Pokemon. The Aegislash comes in and avenges one of the most huggable fusions ever. 2 taps with the Shadow Sneak, and we walk away a victor, but we lose everything. We then are forced to go back to back with our rival that just killed my Mimikyu, but thankfully we do really good here. It's not even worth commentating as Zekrom comes in, Thunder punches his team to oblivion. He's only got the Omatula left, which is some kind of froggy amalgamation here with the Omastar and then Galvantula, if I'm not mistaken. Drops back with an Ancient Power, but that's not our Honchkrow. It's our rivals. We could care less. That's not our Luxloom. That's our rivals. Get wrecked, you piece of garbage. We take down Giovanni. All right, that brings us to Sabrina. Now, we did lose my Mimikyu, but we still have my Aegislash. So the Mr. Mime comes down. We've got Fairy and Psychic here. The Thunderbolt comes in. Sabrina does have Electric-type fusions as another Stab Thunderbolt comes down from the Elinch here. The Trapinch and Elekid. We take it down with the Mr. Mime. And there is the Amphalum there. The Golem and Ampharos looking mighty fine as far as an aggressive and offensive output is concerned. The Aegislash comes in. We swap into an Earthquake, but thankfully we tank it in the shield stance. We're going to go ahead and King Shield just one more time to get a feel for this and see what's going on here. We swap for the Sacred Sword, do massive damage. We tank the Power Gem up close. We tank that pretty well. We're on 58 HP as the Ellisprout comes down 42, level 42. Not looking too scary. We're just going to drop back with one more Sacred Sword here and finish the job potentially. We're swapping to another Pokemon. The King Shield comes down. Thunderbolt is here. That could do a lot of damage. We might be able just to outspeed and take it down anyway, though. We could potentially swap into Aggro. We got Blaziken in the back, but somebody's going to have to tank that Thunderbolt. We're going to drop in with the Sacred Sword, and it doesn't kill the Ellisprout. And it fade away credit to my Aegislash. What are we doing? What are we doing here? The Bulk-Up comes in. Blaziken dropping back with the Flare Blitz. We don't care about any recoil damage. We want vengeance. The Amphalum comes in as well. The High Jump Kick, we don't even care. We're going all out. Sabrina chucks in her Achu. That's what you have to offer me? Get out of here. We secure the 6th gym badge. For our Route 21 first encounter, it's going to be the Shelgon. And when you put it together with another Shelgon, we get a Shelgon. However, when two Salamances fuse together, what are we going to get as the end result here? The dragon comes down, backpack and all. And then for our Cinnabar Island first encounter, it's going to be the Trapinch. Add it to the roster. And then we get to see what a Flygon fusion looks like when it comes together, and that looks fantastic. And that brings us to our 7th gym battle here against Blaine and his Ghost-type fusions. We lead with the Drifblim. We've got the Calm Mind Cheese, and we also go for the Unburden play. We have a Lepa Berry that restores our Calm Mind, and it gets rid of our berry, so Acrobatics is twice the damage. So a little bit of both physical and special coming at you. We get rid of the normal typing, though, so we could potentially spam Shadow Ball, but Hondrio may have the normal typing as well. We risk it all, and it does not, so the Ghost Flying type goes down. Chandet is here. That's going to be a Chandelure and Bayonet. We get hit with the Sucker Punch, but Drifblim doesn't bat an eye as the final Pokemon comes down in the Miss Moreau or the Miss Mario. It's going to be Lucario and Miss Magius. We drop back with the Shadow Ball as we do outspeed the special defense drops, but the Me First fails and Miss Mario goes down. Blaine is defeated. And then for our Treasure Island first encounter, it's gonna be the Dratini. So we get two tiny dragons coming together here to form the triple-headed Hydra. But wait, what about two Dragonites coming together here? That silhouette looks ridiculous, and there is the final pseudo-legendary fusion. And that brings us to our Giovanni fight on top of the mountain with the triple-headed legendary birds. We send out our fearless Macargo that came from the beginning. It was the tiny little Slugma, eats the air slash, the freeze dry comes down, as well as the ancient power gets a fadeaway crit, and we can't even get a move off. I thought we had so much more in store. The freeze dry comes down, does massive damage onto the pseudo with the air slash, but the charge fumbles the bag as the berries all brace for impact on the rock power, but it is Stab doing good damage. We're just going to go ahead and throw out a Sucker Punch as Sudowoodo takes the left and goes off the stage, dies for almost nothing. I'm just kidding. We pop the berry, we get tons of damage, and now Aggron comes in with a monstrous Stab Rock Slide. It is super effective, and the only one remaining is the Zapdos. We tank that no problem, but it does get the Omni Boost. That is A-okay. We can go in for another Rock Slide as the discharge brings us to 3 HP. The charge also buffing that as well. We swap into Zekrom, 4 times not very effective, to the Electric Power Fusion Bolt for the fade. Absolutely. We lose 2, but we take the crown. And then for our Mount Ember first encounter is going to be 2 Ambipomps, and that is a lot of hands. Oh my gosh. That brings us to our 8th and final gym battle against Giovanni himself. He's got a bunch of fighting-type fusions as we do a Stab Fly with Salamence to kick this party off. The Magnet Key comes down. Magnemite and Mankey gets absolutely brutalized by our Flamethrower. A little special attack flex on this. Geochop comes down. It's going to be rock fighting. We dodge it in the air. I'm sorry. Geochop dodges our fly, and we get bodied. Oh my god! Our beautiful Salamence goes down as Mr. Mime gets the revenge kill. The Jin Champ comes in. The Machamp jinx, and that is looking all sorts of crazy as the Body Slam comes down and paralyzes our Mr. Mime. Salamence bleeding in the back. She's gone. She's broken as we send out our Zekrom coming in here. Another Body Slam comes down, but we take that no problem here. Zekrom wanting revenge as well as the Fullersaur comes down. We flex with a Shadow Ball. Doesn't do too much damage. We should lean into that Fusion Ball as it is Stab, and it is beautiful. Taking down that Abomination. Smearloom comes in. Smeargle and Skiploom, I would presume that's going to be normal. And Grass? Where's the fighting type in this? I'm not sure. As Zekrom comes in, takes a ton of damage onto Smearloom, and we fade with a Fusion Ball. Absolutely, Giovanni is defeated. And then our rival doesn't really pose a threat as usual here. Our beautiful Zekrom did take quite a bit of damage in this fight. Other than that, everyone is fine. The Luxloom comes down, does a bunch of U-turn cheese blazing, and comes in and puts him down almost for the last time. We're going to take on our rival for the championship coming up, but first, the Elite Four. For our Toho Falls first encounter, it's going to be a Zora here coming together with itself to fuse into an even cooler Zora. And then when two Zoroarks come together, they turn into this massive fusion. Fantastic looking. Oh my gosh. And now we have arrived at the Elite Four, taking on Lorelei and her Grass-type Pokemon. That's right, she's going to have Grass-type fusions. It's the same thing as the gym leaders. They all have a random typing, so let's watch out for that. Our team is pretty heavy Dragon, so hopefully no Fairy-type Pokemon as the Mime Elite comes down, and that's going to be a Mimikyu Lileep, so probably Grass Fairy? Not ideal, but we do have Blaziken to come in here with a nasty plot. The ring out comes down, doing massive damage, and we were just kidding because we were actually hiding our big bad boy in the back here. Our Zoroark, Miley fades away here, but we get a U-turn into the Ivyler, the Graveler, and Ivysaur, and now you can get a full look at our new team here. We send in Flygon, who has the Dragonance in the back kitchen. We lean into that. The Stone Edge comes down. It's not very effective given the ground typing. We fade in with another Dragonance. A Double Edge comes in, but we tank that up close and personal, and now we are good to go with a +2 attack. Plus, excuse me, the Fulversor comes down, keeping Ivyler in the healthy area. Another Fulversor is here. 2 down, 2 gone, and Ivyler goes down. The Belmer comes down. The Blossom riding the Whaler into town here. Probably Grass Water, which is a phenomenal typing. Maybe we have a little bit of a flying action from the Dragonite. I can't remember the moveset off the top here, but we do fade into Dragonite. Going for the Dragonance, we have more of a coverage moveset as the Belmer flies into the sky with the bounce. Comes down, does get the paralysis. However, we get the Lumberry on the side and snap out of that. We do have a +1/+1 on the Dragon. We fade with a Thunder Punch. It doesn't do too much, but 2 tap will do, and Lorelai's down to 3 Pokemon. The Mimolete comes back down, probably going to go in for that ring out. Turn 1 here, but the Disguise comes down. The Play Rough is here. 41 HP in a dream. Thankfully, the Lileap stat is not going to pad that hit, and we're going to fade into another Pokemon here. The Milotic comes out from the back, gets out in the front line, and is ready to go here. Very tanky on that special defense. However, we want to go in for the Blaziken and see if we can fade with a potential Flare Blitz or Brave Bird if we're feeling it. We actually go for the Bulk Up first to get plus defense and attack, and now anything we do should kill this. However, the recoil damage comes down, leaves us at 22 HP in a dream. The Cyrus is here. That's going to be a Scyther and Paris. We have a full health Zekrom ready to go, chomping at the bit. The X-Scissor comes down. Good damage, but no problem here as we can come in with a Dragon Claw, maybe in a Fusion Bolt. Who cares? Air Slash comes down. Not very effective against our electric typing. One more Pokemon. Can Zekrom do this? The Exegoodly comes down. That is an Executor and the Cradily. Thank you. Cradily and Executor goes for the Solar Beam charge up, which will be not very effective against our Dragon typing. I think we're okay to keep going for Dragon Claw. The Leaf Storm comes down, however, and I was just kidding. That wasn't a Solar Beam. However, we get the Fade Away crit, and Lorelei is down. All right, that was way closer than expected. I do usually lose a Pokemon on the first person. That's very encouraging that we made it through. And now we have Bruno and his potentially Ghost or Ground type Pokemon here. And we do the same little cheese strat with our Zoroark coming out first. Since our Blaziken feigns the fighting typing, they might go for a psychic attack, and then the dark will not affect. So that's a really good combo. We get the U-turn to get our Zoroark to safety, and now we've got a nice squad in the back here. We got the Milotic for water with the Blaziken for fire, and then we got 3 dragons that come out here. Flygon takes the Fertlets on the chin. No problem here. Can we get greedy for a Dragon Dance? Do we swap to another Pokemon? The Flydash is probably going to be boasting a fire ground typing as the Hyper Beam comes down. It's going to have to charge in advance, and now we get a Rain Dance to counter that. The Quick Claw comes in for a little recover on the side. Quick Claw pops again, but the Dragon Rush comes down, doing good physical damage onto the Milotic. The Bounce comes in as well. We recover in expectation. However, the Paralysis comes down and causes Milotic to be fully parried on the side here. Good golly, George. Now, we can pivot back to Blaziken. I don't know what's the best thing to do against this Flyers. We actually risk the recover since we're already out here in the rain. We're going to get that down again. Another Rain Dance. A Hyper Beam comes down. Milotic misses, though, in the rain. The Quick Claw pops, but we are parried, and this is just a tragedy. We don't want to swap into a Hyper Beam, but that's probably the best play here. The recover comes down, and now we are just pee-pee stalling this Flydash to oblivion. The Hydro Pump does connect on the second or third try. We finally clear it, and the Terra comes down. That is a Dugong and Torterra looking fantastic, but we can't get caught up in the details as we've got to take this down. We have got to take down probably a ground ice Pokemon. Either ground ice or ground water, which are both pretty good typings that you don't really expect as the dive from underground comes in. We go for a double Dragon Dance. The dive does no damage, and we can completely set up on this beautiful Doterra. The Giga Drain does nothing as well. Now the Dragon Dance comes down. A dive in response isn't going to do squat against our Dragonite. Even with a critical hit, we can tank that for years. And now we are stacked up at a potential 4+4 with the Dragon Dance as the Fire Punch fades. Axel comes down. That looks like a little Axel and Gibble. So probably a Dragon Ground, just like its predecessor. And we can go for an Aqua Tail, which will be neutral. Fire Punch won't do it. We're really considering the type amalgamation here, but we take it down, no problem. And the Lampert comes down. The Lantern Swampert fantastic color scheme with the orange and blue, but again, we gotta focus on the prize. Ion Deluge comes down, he's buffing up the battlefield as far as electrocytes are concerned. We can fade with one more Aqua Tail, maybe with a Fire Punch. Full Restore comes down, healing it up, it comes back into about 20%. What can we do? One more Aqua Tail, we risk the 10% mischance and take down Bruno. And that brings us to the third Elite Four member in Agatha and her Dragon-type Pokemon. And as you've seen, we basically have 3 Dragon-type sweepers in the back. So let's see what we can do. I guess Umberus comes down, the Guillotine and Umbreon coming together here for probably a Dark Dragon. We send out our Zoroark engaged as the Blaziken, as you do, and we get 2 nasty paws down as Umbreus is spamming Last Resort. Its moveset got absolutely left behind in the fusion and now has no answer for our Zoroark as we go in for the Night Daze here. Oh my gosh, it can't do anything as we are completely stacked on Nasty Paw. We double tap with the Night Daze here as Umbreon special defense keeping it alive, but now the Sixor comes down. That looks like a Fracture and a Scizor, probably Steel Dragon. No, it's Bug Dragon as it gets one-shot by the Dark Night Daze. Another one-shot from Blaziken posing as the Zoroark, or vice versa, I should say. We take a moment to look at Imprison, but we fade away on it. Agnar comes down at Dragon Steel. It doesn't matter. It's gone. Everyone's gone. Xbox comes down, and it's gone before I can even tell you what the fusion is. A full sweep from Zoroark. And now it is time to take on the final member of the Elite Four here, Lance and his Dragon-type Pokemon. That's right, the randomizer saw it fitting in its heart to keep Lance with the Dragon, so both him and Agatha ended up with Dragon-type fusions. We have 3 Dragon-type fusions of our own. Let's see who the real Dragon Tamer is. Shigon comes down. That's going to be a Shinx and Bagon. We send out our Zoroark, the same plan as usual. Get that illusion. The Wild Charge comes down doing massive damage, though. We cannot tank another one of those. We can lean into the Speed Stat and U-turn out for glory. 1 full restore is off the table. We will definitely take that. Lance probably has about 4 full restores in the back as we pivot into Flygon here for some redemption. Earthquake could go a mile. This isn't the scariest fusion for Lance to start out with, so we're going to go for Dragon Dance as we do tank the Double Edge, and that's going to bring us to about 75-80% HP as we go for a Dragon Claw. Now we are +1/+1, potentially outspeeding every single Dragon that Lance has to offer, and that is exactly right as Sun Air goes down. However, the Inferkia, the Palkia, and Infernape, but we get the one-tap Flygon absolutely flexing as Reshiros comes down, another immaculate fusion. It holds one in the red, it takes a Dragon Pulse to the face, and Flygon flies home for the last time. That's probably going to be Dragon Psychic, really fast, really good stats. We pivot to Dragonite to finish the job. However, the full restore is probably going to come down. No, we get outsped instead, and a Dragon Pulse takes down our Dragonite. We're down to 4 Pokemon. However, the Zoroark is super fast. It comes out as Blaziken, but it gets outsped by Reshiros. Our Zoroark gets outsped. Look at that speed stat. Oh my god, 144 isn't fast enough. That means it's going to outspeed and one-shot everything on our team as the Psychic comes down and his stab super effective. And as you can see, the team is dying. We're drowning in our own blood as Milotic comes down. It can tank a Dragon Pulse, just barely 97 HP, but it's not enough to kill Reshiros. Reshiros 1 HP. Dragon Pulse comes down 13 HP. A Baker's doesn't, and we are limping. We are limping through the final ends of this fight. One more Pokemon, and it's the Mono. It's the tiny little sheep. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, we send out Zekrom 1 tap for glory, and now it's 2 Pokemon against the champion. Well, we limp into the champion's chambers with 2 Pokemon to our name. Both leveled up to the level cap, and now it's time to beat our rival for the last time. We've beaten him every step of the way here, and Miraudon comes down. Now he's going to have every typing under the sun. We've got a substitute Toxic lined up. We're hopefully can sweep with this Zekrom. Let's see what we got here. We go for the Recover Stall. This is going to be a little bit tipsy as the Double Edge comes down. Can't do much damage with that. And we get a huge serve. Miraudon goes into the red. Probably going to go for a full restore. We can capitalize with the substitute. However, we go for the Toxic as well. It doesn't affect because of the Steel typing, but of course, so it's going to be Ground Steals. We get the fadeaway crit, and we clear the first Pokemon. The second comes down. It is the fully evolved Lux Luff that we've seen before. Jump Luff and Luxray, potentially Flying Electric or Grass Electric. Those are going to be the 2 typings here. As the Giga Drain comes down, does no damage. We have an immaculate moveset, but this is no ramping up. We don't have any Dragon Dance. We don't have any Nasty Plot. It's just raw damage against our rival. The bounce comes down. We can sidestep. No, we can't, but the paralysis doesn't come through. We just go down with a raw Dragon Claw, and then we raw Dragon Claw. Another bounce into the sky. Leftovers for reprieve. Fusion Bolt comes down and takes down the Luxluff. It was electric flying, but now the cutest Togekiss is here. That's Togekiss and Mimikyu. I love that fusion, but we've got to put it down. That probably means it's Fairy Flying, though, right? Or Fairy Ghost. The Play Rough is here. We barely tank that. We have a Toxic substitute. The Recover comes down to buy some time. Shadow Claw is here. No critical hit. It's really good. Home Clutch comes down, and now Togekiss is ramping up. The Absorb Bolt from the back as well. This is really bad. This is really bad. We can go for the Toxic Bulbasaur comes down. Beautiful stuff. It's badly poisoned. That can start ramping up. We can recover and substitute stall. 2 Home Claws come down, though, and now any substitute will break. +2 attack, +2 accuracy. Another Bulbasaur comes down. Gets rid of the Toxic Poison. The Play Rough is here from downtown. The substitute phase. We hold on with 99 HP. The Play Rough comes in. +2, and it's enough to take down my loading Zekrom for the back, for the reprieve. Terravolt is here. We got to outspeed. The Bulbasaur comes down. The Fusion Bolt doing massive damage. We have to outspeed. The Play Rough comes down and one-shots our final Pokemon. I believe he still had 2 Pokemon left, and we limp to the Champion's Chambers, and we fall. Every Pokemon we held dear along the way has died, and we have died with them. As always, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I will catch you on the flip. Peace.